Hey everyone. Um, this is going to have a little bit of a bleed over to the Life Hack and Stuff podcast. If you listen to my other podcast first, thank you. Secondly, if you listen to it first, you'll know that I was talking about ground truth this week. Now, ground truth is an incident has occurred, and you have the capability of relaying information about what's happening on the ground right there, if it's happening around you. First and foremost, number one, do not get in the way. Number two, do not put yourself at risk. Okay. That's always the two biggest ones. I don't care if you're how you're doing it or how helpful you're trying to be. I don't care if you're doing it by using a drone or if you're doing it on the ground. Don't be in the way and don't put yourself at risk. There's been many reports of people using drones in wildfire areas and other things where they've gotten in the way and grounded the emergency vehicles necessary to help battle the fire. So don't do it. Stay out of the way. But if you can, without getting in the way of anybody, get as much information as you can that can be passed along. All right. There may be a organization in your town already. You'll have to reach out and find out. If you've got a ham radio club in the area, reach out to that. If you have any ARES members in the area, reach out to them. If you're not sure about either of those, the ARRL, Alpha Romeo Romeo Lima website can give you some indications of who's around your area, especially if it's an ARES or an ARRL registered group. You'll be able to find them in your area and reach out to them. Maybe do some drills with them too, just to get used to how that's going to work. The trick, obviously, is going to be what's going to happen when the cell towers are down. All right. When the internet is down. How can you get your information to someone so that they can do something with it? And some of what you might be doing might just be archive stuff. All right. Something that they need to look at after the event. So it goes in originally as a description of what's in the picture. And the pictures get added later on in the more complete response at the end. But we as photographers have a different way of viewing things. There's things that we may catch that a standard, I won't say civilian, but a non-photographer might miss. Might be some details that we see better than other people do, from the years of us just trying to catch all the details. I mean, how many times do we get somebody in a photograph and want to make sure that the hair is just right? So we're noticing where the individual hairs are. We can see a lot of stuff. And we just need to expand that out to look at the area that you're looking around. And part of that is just getting used to whatever you've got in your area, be it a stream or a river going through or a bridge or whatever's closest to you that you can keep an eye on. Just get to know what it normally looks like so that you're not surprised by something that's always been there when you go get shots of it. We have a bridge here that had one of the struts has been rusting for years. And it doesn't look healthy, but you wouldn't know that wasn't the result of a storm or something else if you weren't familiar with the bridge. But reach out to the organizations around you if you can. See what you can do to help, right? We're not talking about much. We're talking about a little bit of time here and there just to get some ground truth, get some information that can be put together, both about what happened during the incident and possibly what happened afterwards. Because don't forget, even if we get photographs of what happened and the incident. There's always cleanup and everything else, and everything can always be done better. And the more information we have about what was done, the more we can look at it differently and see what we could do differently, do better next time. Especially if we have drones and the drones are allowed to be flown in the area. So remember that when you're checking where it needs to fly, make sure you're checking where it can fly. But that allows us to get a different view of the situation than the people on the ground can get, right? Having a drone up could allow you to get a different perspective on what's going on to help out the people doing the work. So again, just like I say, the ham operators need to let the community know that they're there. You need to let the community know that you're there as well. That way, when they've got something and they're curious about something going on, maybe they'll give you a call and have you put your drone up, or have you tell them what you witnessed that they may have gotten from the other report. Maybe they want to ask you a couple more questions about what you saw, right? But again, the entire purpose here is what we can do to help keep our communities safe. And drilling is going to be an important part. In the ham radio community, right? Over the years, it's been kind of a closed little community. Ham operators talking to ham operators. I see that as a problem for a couple of reasons. The first problem I see with that is there are more people in the community than there are ham operators, which means we're losing a huge amount of potential that we could get from the community. And that includes the photographers. All right. You may not, as a photographer, think that you can offer anything. You're wrong. When an emergency happens, all right, and again, that bubble works both ways. Both the ham radio operators see themselves in the bubble, and the community sees a bubble around that whole function. And it's both sides are wrong. The reason they're both wrong is because there is so much more information we can get if we step outside of the bubble, and there's so much information that you guys can provide from the outside of the bubble in. So we got to pop the bubble and get communication flowing to everybody. When we do a simulated emergency training every year, and typically that's ham operators talking to ham operators. That's great. That's the bubble again. So as Vermont SEC, this year I want to include more community people in the event. Now, I don't know that I can get to it this year. And the reason I say that is just because the event's going to come up fairly soon, and I can't reach out to all the communities myself. So I don't know how many people we're going to be able to pull into this. We might do okay on that. But again, I don't know how many photographers we're going to be able to get and things like that. So we got to see what we can do. I'm aiming that hopefully if we get the first round together this year with whatever we can throw together this year and get those tests and trainings done, then maybe next year we can expand it. I would like to see ARES expanded, the emergency communications piece expanded beyond just ham radio operators. I would like to see more community input from both just people who are there and can tell us what the conditions are, and people who can provide us good photographs, good visual archive material as to what happened so that we can make it better the next time. The weather's getting crazier and crazier, as everybody knows. We have days, it seems like, of more rain and days of more heat. And both of those are going to combine and cause changes to the environment. If you are familiar with what happens when ground dries out, when the ground dries, it doesn't dry uniformly down. Okay. The top layers start to dry up, and then that seems to drier and drier and drier as it goes down. It works its way down, but you still got that moist layer underneath. So when rain occurs, what can happen is it can wash away that dry layer at the top. It makes it much more pliable, much more fluid, that it can just grab that dried topsoil and just flush it down a hill, which means more landslides. Landslides mean more road closures. More road closures mean that people can be isolated from the rest of the community. That isolation can mean food deliveries, can mean medicine deliveries, and it can mean getting ambulances in and out when there's an emergency. In order to keep the community safe, the community has to have a way of communicating out that they've got a problem. If the cell towers are up, that's one way to do it. But where are the cell towers? Possibly in the path of that mudslide. So we have to make sure that we have enough around to handle that. And if, as a photographer, if you can get a shot of it going down from a safe distance, obviously, we do have zoom lenses after all, then the people that would be responsible for trying to ensure that doesn't happen again can have even more information about what went on. They would have an actual video or photographic evidence of what happened, so they can try to figure out what they can do to cut down on that happening again. The weather's going to keep getting the way the weather's going to get. And that's going to create more and more issues that we haven't had to deal with before. But if an engineer can look at it and maybe come up with a way to slow it down, redirect it. I don't know if you guys have seen metal roofs that have these little fins on it. The fins are on the metal roof because a metal roof, it can be a very dangerous roofing material if you're underneath it and the snow comes off or the ice. So those little fins are there to prevent the snow from just sliding off the roof, right? It's a double-edged sword because you're keeping the moisture on a metal roof, but at the same time, it's better than having the ice just slide off the roof and slam into somebody or into a car or something else. So by having those little fins in there, it can help slow it down. Don't know that it works on a landslide. I'm not making any kind of pitch for that at all. I'm just using that as an analogy for possibly an engineer being able to see what happened because you were able to capture it for them and work out what they can do differently on that hill. Maybe it's nothing that can cut down the amount of damage. And maybe they can't do anything with the hill itself, but maybe they can do something with the road. What can they do to try to prevent that community from getting cut off next time? By having ground truth, by having the eyes on the ground, either during the time or shortly thereafter, so that you can capture what happened, what the aftermath was, they can then try to figure out what they can do. And remember, the first thing that is going to happen for those communities is not going to be a bunch of engineers spending a week going around seeing what they can do. It's going to be them trying to clear that roadway as quickly as possible to get that community out of isolation. So there's a lot of things that could get missed because they have to work quickly. And by you having all this photographic or videographic evidence of what happened, they can then do whatever they need to do and get it done quickly to get to that community. And then take the time afterwards to go over the footage that you've gathered and figure out what can be done differently and how they can help next time. But now they can do that when they're not under the gun, when it's not an emergency, when there aren't lives that are possibly at risk. And that's where you as a photographer come in to play. We capture moments in time. The moments in time around an incident, like a mudslide, are important to capture. Again, don't get in the way. Don't put yourself at risk. But they're important to capture so that the people that can do something about it can see what happened, see how it happened, and help them figure out how to take care of it for next time. That's what I got for you guys this week, and I will talk to you all next week.